Salute YouTube. This is your boy Rod of God podcast. Man, this is an impromptu live stream. I'm chilling at the crib. I'm on vacation. Son back with his mama. And I'm just up, late at night. When you take vacation, you don't really keep the right hours that you should be keeping when you're working. But I guess that's the whole purpose of going on vacation is to, stay up, watching whatever you want to watch. Excuse me, doing whatever you want to do because you ain't got to get up and go to work in the morning. And there was this situation where there's this channel, a small unknown channel, who apparently made a stream about Angry Man. And the young lady's channel, or the ladies' channel, it's called Sexy Red 38. And I saw her kind of back and forth with Angry Man. And, I wanted to hear, kind of like, what she had to say. So I guess because I went and listened to, the back and forth between her and Angry Man before those videos was taken down, the algorithm recommended her for me tonight, showed me that she was live. So I clicked on her video, her live stream, and when I clicked on her live stream, she was playing a video of a PhD, probably some older black woman's PhD dissertation that she wrote. Sounded like a PhD candidate's dissertation, where a black woman wrote a paper about the problems with black masculinity and how basically black masculinity, it sought to break down black masculinity in terms of how it's like this thing that has been, I guess you could say, it tried to break down masculinity in terms of like masculinity, the way black men define it, is it's all about sex, because black men are so, defeated and conquered. The only way we know how to express our masculinity, our domination of our women, is through sex. And what was interesting is the black woman's paper, the video that this Sexy Red 38 person was playing, it was a video of a white man. It was a video of a white man it was a video of a white man, going over the points, breaking down this academic paper. And it was so problematic. It was like, I mean, this is crazy. So she opened up the panel, and I said, I saw with her beef with Angry Man that she I saw with her beef with Angry Man that she tried to force him to pay her $100. So I said, I'm just gonna click on it because apparently this sect of YouTube, they're very anti-manosphere, this section of Black YouTube. So I figured she'll never click on me. So I was so shocked. I'm like hearing that I'm in the show. So I go up and I'm like, hey, I'm a courteous, respectful person. And I go up and I'm like, hello, I heard the show, and in terms of this paper that this young PhD, more than likely, candidate wrote, have you thought about the fact that a Black woman cannot sit down and break down what are the problems with Black masculinity? They were trying to tie it in with like white supremacy. They were basically saying this paper that the white gentleman co-signed, which then Sexy Red 38 co-signed. They were trying to say that it's white supremacists, that Black men, our view of gender roles and that we should be dominant as men, that is a white supremacist idea. These are not new ideas. We've, heard this BS before. But one thing I noticed about Miss Sexy Red 38 is that in her interaction with Angry Man, what I picked up on was hurt. I don't know her from Eve, right? But she is a person who, when she was doing the stream on Angry Man, she was basically reviewing his Kevin Samuels video. What I heard in her voice was hurt. I heard a Black woman who views the Black manosphere as a place where Black men just talk down on Black women, especially Black women of her age and her social status. All right, she's older. I believe she's in her late 30s. She's not married. There was a lot of mention of the word strag in her back and forth with Angry Man. And now she had like a Miss Piggy icon. And see what I know, because, I'm a man. I don't look at women as my enemy. And I don't look at women as, something to kick when they're down, or I haven't seared my consciousness, my conscience. I'm sorry, I haven't seared my conscience. I don't have a black heart to where I can't hear like someone's voice cracking. And that was the thing about Miss Sexy Red that stuck out to me with her interaction with Angry Man is he wasn't on her stream, but apparently I guess he was commenting and during the stream, and she would be responding to it. So you can kind of gather what was going on there. What I heard was hurt. I heard a Black woman, and she said it. She was like, we try to come to the table and talk to y'all, but we can't even do that. Now, with her interaction with Angry Man, it was so, she was very just, she was very critical of a lot of what Angry Man does. And so for me, it was like, that is not the place of a woman to be criticizing a man, about something that has nothing to do with her. Because the video she was critiquing of Angry Man's had to do with the Kevin Samuels situation. So that was nothing for a woman to insert herself in. But we already know how this is. So, obviously she's in her masculine, and she's inserting herself into things. And she freely said, hey, I'm trying to eat, I'm trying to get some views off of this, right? So, obviously there's a lot of masculinity going on, because you're trying to build a life and be active because be productive, I'm sorry, because you don't have a man, and therefore you have to go out and build a life. You have to take on that masculine role because there's no man to do it for you. So obviously this is a woman who is in her masculine. She admits she was in the military, and military women are often very masculine. So there I was not blind to any of that. But on top of me not being blind to any of that, I could clearly hear in her voice hurt, right? And see, when you have the spirit of God and you don't have the spirit of Satan, you hear things like that. You hear the hurt. That's what I heard in her voice. And I'm not here to save her or anybody else. But as the man of God, I'm here to preach the gospel. And as a man of God, I'm going to use whatever the fuck in I can to preach the gospel. First to my black fellow men, my fellow black men, and then to everybody else. And if you listen to any of my content, you know that. You know that that's my whole purpose. Oh, okay, this is a space I can come in and preach the gospel in. Read some of the comments on my videos. You'll see there are some people who knew me before YouTube, who have commented. Finally, here you go back with your Bible teaching, because I've been doing it for years. And when I mean years, I mean over a decade. I'm that guy. I'm the man of God. So whenever, that's the only reason why I'm in this space, right? So that's why I took the opportunity, because first of all, I'm going to, stay on topic. You've played a video, Miss Sexy Red 38. She played a video that I had a visceral reaction to. So I'm like, I can use this as the end. We'll talk about the video and then, inject a little Christ. That's my mission here, especially when I hear the hurt in her voice. It was like, even with Angry Man, like when she was going back and forth with him, when he pulled down that video, boss move. When he pulled down that video in the middle of her criticism, and she was very disrespectful. He like, yo, drop the link. She won't drop it. And then she's saying, you got to pay me $100. And then she's like, she's going to keep him in her chat while she's critiquing his work. And then she even said, like, because I guess it sounded as if she thought maybe he'll pay me the 100 and I'm gonna have to let him up. And that was the last thing, the way it came off. In my opinion, that was the last thing she wanted to do, was actually let him up, which is why she came up with such a high figure to just come up on a panel when she's critiquing his creative work, his intellectual property. So, she had to add another stipulation, which is, even after you pay me that 100, you still will have to wait until I'm finished critiquing your intellectual property. So she's a very, this is obvious, right? In terms of what you're dealing with here. I don't get into name calling, strags and all that, no. But it's very obvious what you're dealing with here, right? So, when I go up on the panel, I get into the fact that, the most obvious, glaring flaw in her entire presentation of this video, which was, trying to present or in some way summarize this black woman's paper. Oh, shit, somebody now. What up, Jessica X? How you doing over there? It's a different time over there where you at. What up? So yeah, that's why I came up on the panel, right? So I go up on the panel, And I'm like, how can a woman break down masculinity in a man? Like, like, don't you see like what's wrong there? And she did what I would expect her to do. She got in her masculine. She was submissive. She cut me off. She muted me, and then she shut me down. She put me back down backstage. And I noticed from watching the other stream, this is her MO. This is what she do. This is what she does to men who come up and present real arguments to her that are, going to counter her what she's presenting. But one of her friends kind of gave her that the advice that, try not to take things so personally, you know, they told her to take it as entertainment. I don't think she should take it as entertainment, but she should at least try to not be so emotionally invested because she misunderstands things. Even when I came up, before I could even get my whole statement out, she was already answering the question that I hadn't asked, and she was wrong. So she behaved the way, women like that behave. That's it. It's done. I made my point. I came up on the platform and I asked you a question that immediately triggered you to the point where you had to mute me and put me down backstage. And when you put me down backstage, I'm not like these simps you deal with. I'm going to sit backstage. If I've been disrespected as a man, I'm out. Masculinity doesn't hang out where it's disrespected. I'm out. But I know that I made the point because you can hear, just like with Angry Man, you can hear the trembling in her voice. You can hear that she's upset. You got people in the chat saying, protect your mental, health. Don't get so wrapped up in this stuff. And again, I know where that's coming from because I'm the man of God. That's why I'm here. And coming into this space, there's a lot of men and a lot of women who fall into a certain, let's say classification where they have been beat the fuck up by life. And they blame the opposite sex for what they have been through in their lives, right? I'm not a part of that classification. The evidence of the fact that I'm not a part of that group is that I fucking smile. I laugh. You hear my streams, you hear the voice of a young boy playing and laughter in the background of my videos. You don't hear me puffing on blunts. You don't hear me hitting vapes. Right? You hear laughter and playfulness, playful sounds. Because my home is a home of love. Because I'm a man of God and God is love, right? So for me, that was it. It was over. But I noticed when I was in the chat, when I was watching the video, the Miss Sexy Red's video, I noticed that a gentleman who I recently subscribed to named Grinch, who I've heard of through Angry Man, he was in her chat as well. And so when I got off of her video, I saw that because I'm subscribed to him, it showed me he was live. So I was like, oh, he was just in that live. So I clicked on Grinch's video. And I'm not saying that Grinch was, sparked up a live for me. I mean, I have, I almost have like no subscribers. Like I'm nobody. But it's just in Grinch's live, it sounded like he was referring to my going up on her panel. And I get it because if not saying Grinch was speaking about what had happened with me on Miss Sexy Red's panel, but if he was, I would understand it based on the little bit of time that I listened. Because I immediately said, well, now I got to start my own live. I don't want a narrative being portrayed, because from what I was seeing in Grinch's live, it was almost like he was saying, when are y'all going to learn to not let these women, from what I was gathering from Grinch, if he was addressing me or speaking about me, it sounded as if he was saying like, I went on her live trying to convince her or change her mind with talking points. And when am I going to learn? When are men like me going to learn? There is no convincing these women. You're not going to, convince them of anything. Don't even worry about convincing them. You're not going to change your mind. Why do you like being disrespected by women? And that's when I was like, yo, I have to, I have to do my own live now because I won't have the narrative be painted like that. If Miss Sexy Red 38 doesn't take down her live stream that I was just on, anybody can clearly see there was no masochism at work there in terms of wanting to be disrespected or spoken down on by a woman. There was also no pleading to get any fucking body to change their mind about anything. I'm a man of God, okay? And anybody who reads the Bible and is serious about the Bible, you understand that God has clearly told us 90% of every living soul that has ever lived and will ever live will burn in hell, okay? So it's never about trying to convince nobody of nothing to save anybody or or damn sure not about being spoken down to or disrespected. It's about Christ. It's about you take whatever end you can get and then you preach the gospel, especially where you hear hurt. And I'm not gonna lie, I hear hurt in brothers like Grinch. I hear hurt in brothers like Grinch, and I hear hurt in sisters like Sexy Red, because that is what we have all been. We have all been hurt. We've all had our hearts broken by life in and of itself, and everyone and every fucking thing in it, especially if you black. You have been through some shit, and watch every video I've ever put out. I operate on that framework, right? Because that is the truth. We've all been through shit. We've all been through shit. But to 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 project, that's why I named this live stream this projecting of pain. Everybody on YouTube is not you. Everybody on YouTube is not some heartbroken, hurt person who is trying to convince women to do any fucking thing. There are some people on YouTube who are on YouTube for the stated fucking purpose that they said, which for me is Christ, that Christ will be preached. My name is literally Rod of God. Everything about me, this beautiful woman whose comment I have highlighted down there, Miss Jessica X. I first came up on her panel talking about God. And then I decided to create my channel because I was fucking derailing her panel talking about Jesus. And it was like, well, bruh, didn't just start your own channel. You can talk about Jesus without derailing other content creators' panels. And I said as much in my first video and every video since. This is the Rod of God channel. This is not about no heartbrokenness, no trying to convince anybody of anything, especially when it comes to fucking women and relationships. Y'all got that covered. Y'all go over the trauma that black men and black boys and then black men have been through or are going through. There are women in this space who go over the trauma that black girls and black women have been and are going through. That's not my lane. That's not my wheelhouse. I'll never have it be said that I'm here trying to convince anybody of any fucking thing when it comes to relationships between black men and women, respect between black women and women, black men and women. Fuck out of here. That has never been my MO. But as a man of God, I can clearly see an end. I can clearly see an angle that I can work to say, yo, we know the Bible called all this shit out. I can't wait till we get the book of Revelation. Bruh, obviously you haven't listened to my content. Because if you listen to my content, it's very clear where I stand on all of this. This is all going to end very bad. Newsflash, this is not going to end well. I repeat, spoiler alert, this is not going to end well for any of you unless you turn to Christ. Period. Full stop. That is your only hope. And you can choose Christ and still not get a woman, and you can choose Christ and if you're a woman and still not get a man. A husband, a wife, whatever. But that is the least you should do is take care of your soul. Because I'm here to tell you, if the Bible is to believed, and it is undeniable that it is to be believed, this is all going to end horribly. And if you turn on the fucking news, or if you stop smoking fucking weed, you will clearly see that that is exactly what the fuck is happening. Everything that Bible said has come, is coming, and will come to pass. Every fucking word and every fucking exclamation point and period. Right? So it's never about trying to convince anybody of any fucking thing. As the man of God, I see the hurt in you. I see a bunch of broken fucking hearts, and they're pointing fingers at each other, right? And I have no problem being a man of God and being on the side of men because I know the order that God has created us, which is that the man is the head. And any environment, any system where the man is not the head or his position as the head is in any way challenged or usurped, that is not a condition of God. That is literally a condition of Satan, because Satan is the one who perverts. If God says the man is the head and the woman is to be this, to be honest, this kind of precious asset and commodity that he is to protect with his own life. And then the world, some other system comes along and says, well, no, it's the inverse of that. That's satanic, So it's never, ever about, not understanding that, right? So that's why I can side with men in this argument that this space is kind of the embodiment of, because we live in a society, we are in a system where that has been inverted, and that does not just apply to Black men. That applies to all Western men, right? But don't never get it twisted. You can see in my content, I don't blame Black women for every fucking thing. I don't. And if you look at my content, you will see that I address men. I address masculinity. I think I have one video where I talk about women. That was in reaction to a stream that I attended, that I was privy to, where Black men were saying they were going to abandon their kids rather than deal with the problems of modern women. And that's when I made that one video called Women Thou Art Judged. But I have 23 fucking videos on my content, among my content. That is my focus is men and trying to preach the gospel of Christ to men, right? But the prophet is accepted everywhere except his own home, his own house, right? But this is the order of God. God will have me to preach it to Black men first. But God will do what he will do. He always starts with your own people, and then he goes on from there, right? So yeah, that's why I'm here. Was not about trying to convince Miss Sexy Red of anything. I won't have that be told. I'm not going in on your live stream arguing with you in a chat that you obviously need to rewatch that brief 2-minute exchange, because that is not what the fuck happened. And at least check out my content if you were speaking about me, to understand who and what you're speaking about, what my purpose is here in this space. And I just keep hearing this word, morality, morality, morality. Why are y'all here? You're the only one here trying to preach morality. Again, broken hearts projecting. Because what people who try to speak against morality don't understand is that is not a human position. It's like so many people think that they're so smart, you know, because they smoke a little weed and it opens up their mind, in ways that it hasn't been open. But the fear of God is the beginning of wisdom. It's a scripture. You can't even begin to obtain wisdom without a fear of God. And there are Oxford trained atheists or Cambridge trained atheists. I can't ever remember what C.S. Lewis was trained. C.S. Lewis, a famous writer, right? He's famous for the Chronicles of Narnia series, but he was an intellectual as well. He wrote a lot of intellectual works and some Christian intellectual works. His most famous being Mere Christianity. If you think you're so smart, go and look at men who you know are undeniably smarter than you, who are believers in Christ or believers in morality, and read their works and see how they arrived at that. C.S. Lewis was a brilliant mind, like I said, either Oxford or Cambridge trained atheist who came to believe in God and then after that in Christ because of morality. Because morality is something that is inescapable to a human being, to a sentient mind. you know, it's like, and what brothers like this gentleman don't realize is by you even making a judgment on whether or not a person should go up on a particular panel, whether or not a person should use talking points, quote unquote, which I don't know where the fuck that came from. What talking point did I use in that 2-minute exchange? Whether or not, morality should be spoken of. That in itself is a moral judgment that you are making. You're making a judgment there. So you haven't thought, all these gentlemen in this space who try to down talk morality. Well, the only thing that you betray is that you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You don't understand morality. You don't understand it. By you even making that statement, you don't understand morality and how it is inseparable from the human condition. And men like that, I think they either have a very basic, kind of Darwinist evolution type of worldview where they don't even understand those works. But yeah, morality. I say that to say it's almost as if they're trying to reduce man to animals, but even animals have morality. So it's overwhelmingly so, right? So you're just betraying that you don't understand it, and that betrays the fact that it's not really about morality. It's about the fact that you believe that you have built a better mousetrap, and another mousetrap has been presented, and you don't approve. And fuck your approval. It's not even a better mousetrap. It's a gospel. it's life and death. It's the eternal damnation of your soul or the eternal salvation of your soul. I'll leave y'all down there to, play with mouse traps. I'm here to preach the word of God. So I just had to, put some counter programming out there since it seemed to me like a narrative was being painted that was bullshit. But yeah, that's all I had to say. I'm gonna go ahead, steer pie and go to bed. I ain't been going to bed till like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I always do this when I take a vacation, man. Be staying up all times at night and shit. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up there because it's getting late and I'm still gonna have a couple glasses of wine before I go to bed. But thank y'all so much for listening. Thank you, JX, for coming through. Y'all have a good night. Salute.